Hey, so motherfuckers be like, I'm breaking the generational curse. I'm about to get in the stock market. I gotta buy property, right? Don't forget that generational curse of not being able to feed yourself the type of foods that you want, right? So everybody out there that's, protesting against different food companies is they shouldn't put dye in this, they shouldn't do this and that and that. Those are all the people who are still cursed by not knowing how to feed themselves. Because the people who don't eat that bullshit because they feeding themselves could care less what's going inside of that shit. So you should be teaching your kids how to garden. You should teach your kids how to homestead, how to raise their own shit if they can. And if you say you don't have space for a garden, stay tuned. I'm gonna show you another way that you can actually start learning how to grow your own shit, and you don't need no fucking space at all, motherfucker. Peace out.
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
Yes, without a doubt, when we moved from the city to the country, my life got significantly better. So 2 years ago, my husband and I sold our house in the city and moved to the country in a town that has less than 2,000 people in it. And we just thought we were going to enjoy building a farm and having animals. Little did we know it was living in the country that would completely steal our hearts and give us so much peace and joy like we never knew. We used to have a big house in the city. It was very beautiful, 2 stories, and now we live in a manufactured home or a trailer, whatever you want to call it, and it still needs a lot of work, and we've done a lot of renovations and repairs. But I'm telling you, you could not pay me to move back to the city. Like, if you gave me a mansion in the city, I would not leave the country. Like, it's giving that amount of peace. Is it more work? 100% yes, but that's because we have a farm. If we were to get rid of all of our animals, I would still live in the country, and then it wouldn't be as much work. But with the amount of animals that we are taking care of, it's a lot. There's a certain stillness about living in the country. I've never experienced it before, and maybe it's just the fact that I feel so connected to God, that my nervous system is at ease, but whatever it is, I love it, and I'm never leaving.
Why do so many folks on the internet glorify homesteading and glorify farming? It's hard work. It costs a lot of money. So if you're out there thinking that you want to be a homesteader or turn into a farmer, there's a lot to think about. Equipment. Equipment's expensive. It ain't cheap. I got a lawnmower I'm on right here for this much property, as much as I got. I had to go out and get a commercial lawnmower. Couldn't do it with a residential. It wouldn't last. There's 13 grand, just like that. 61-inch deck. Tractors. Tractors can run anywhere from, 25,000 all the way up to hundreds of thousands. But you need a tractor to operate on a farm. But you got to be able to move things when they fall. Chickens. Everybody wants chickens. People don't realize you want to feed your chickens food. That costs money. How many eggs do you go through in a day or a week? It costs me $30 a week just on a bag of food. I got neighbors now. They have chickens, so I don't need to have chickens. I go down there, I support their business so that they can pay for their feed, and I don't have to do the work on top of that. So for those of y'all out there thinking that homesteading or farming is going to be easy, it ain't easy. I've been on this mower already 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I got probably 4 more hours to go. Your weekends, they ain't fun. Not all the time, unless you enjoy this type of work. Can't go on vacation because you got animals, so you got to make sure either you're paying somebody to come take care of your animals, or you got a friendly neighbor at least that's going to be able to help you take care of your animals. But it ain't like you can just go away for a week at a time whenever you want to. So these are all things that y'all need to think about before exploring the options of homesteading and saying, I want to do this. It is not cheaper. So if you think that this is something you really want to do, you better look into it a lot, and you better have deep pockets.
This rain fucking sucks. Today I'm going to de-influence you as a homesteader. The home will never be magazine worthy. There is toys and shoes and dead mice all over the fucking place. Thanks, Poppy. A real farmhouse with farm animals and farm kids will have mud on the doors and such. There will always be a kitchen bucket of scraps for your preferred animal of choice. Ours is pigs. There is animal medication in my kitchen. I do not have new fancy appliances. My yard will just never be aesthetic. I cook everything from scratch, and I'm an ingredients household, so I always have dirty dishes on the counter. I'm also not out here doing farm chores in a little house in the prairie dress. A lot of this is just reflecting the fact that I need to spring clean my farm. But, there's always piles of things. These are feed bags. Brick pile, scrap pile, more shit.
Mud. Let's talk about the fact that farm animals bring mud.
Pile of doom. Pile of doom. This will come in handy one day. Yep, toys everywhere. Pile of doom, but make it burnable. Half-finished project. Half-finished project. More toys. They're infinite. And more hidden treasures that this property has given me. Very realistic. Very productive.
Absolutely, yeah. Homesteading usually starts with gardening, and I wish people would follow this advice a little more. Plant what you actually eat. When people start their first garden, they usually go online and they get a long list of everything they can plant in their hardiness zone. And next thing you know, they're planting everything from arugula, beets, carrots, dill, daikon, edamame, everything in the alphabet they plant all at once. And what happens? That gets to be too much. It's more stuff than you ever really eat. A lot of it goes bad, it rots in the ground, and you get discouraged. And when you get discouraged, you're not going to want to garden anymore. Make a garden that fits into your lifestyle. Make a diary of all the things you actually eat over the course of a month. Pick out the vegetables and fruits or whatever that are going to actually work in your zone, and then plant lots and lots of that. If you're still not sure where to start, if you're not that much of a foodie, then consider planting what I call a phantom garden. That's going to be a garden consisting of potatoes, herbs, arugula, nasturtium, tomatoes, onions, and marigold. These are all fairly easy, unfussy crops that we eat lots of. They pair well together, they're good companion plantings, they look good in your garden, and the marigold and nasturtium are a good introduction to natural pest management. Hope that helps. Anybody else, let me know if you need homesteading advice.
Thank you so much for asking me this question, because full disclaimer, I am nowhere near where I need to be when it comes to homesteading. But I do love to learn, and when I knew that I wanted to become a homesteader, which is basically becoming more self-sufficient, I bought books, I watched YouTubes, I took classes, and you know what that did? That connected me with the best group of people God ever made. Because this community, like when you start putting your toes in the water and you want to become a homesteader and you start networking and going to these classes and watching YouTubes and reaching out to people, guess what? The kindest community emerges. So that's the first thing that I would do, is get connected, start watching YouTubes, reach out, and you hardly ever see gatekeeping in this space. Now, one thing I learned when I started doing all this learning and networking is that there is not one widely accepted definition of what homesteading looks like. So don't feel like you got to put yourself in a specific box when it comes to homesteading. And this goes as far as land and animals and all of the different things. Just keep in mind that all homesteaders and future homesteaders would say that self-sufficiency is the number one thing when it comes to homesteading. That's the goal. Okay, so with self-sufficiency as your primary goal, then you need to determine what does that look like, right? So it doesn't matter where you're living, apartment, you're renting a room, you got a house, you got land, whatever. It starts with that one act of self-sufficiency. So let's just use, for example, the fact that maybe you go to the store and get bread, right, every week. Okay, now you need to learn how to make bread, right? Let's say you do have a backyard or a little land and you can get chickens, right? It's okay for you to get chickens or maybe even raise rabbits, right? That would be your source of protein. So you start as where you are. And even an herb garden, medicinal herb garden, that is the biggest FU to the system, okay? Start growing medicinal herbs so when you get sick, you're not going to CVS and Walgreens. You're going to your bathroom, right? Or to your kitchen cabinet, right? So it's all about becoming self-sufficient and taking those little bitty baby steps. Now, when it comes to land, I put my real estate broker hat on, okay? And anytime you hear me tell you about real estate, you're going to hear the word $10,000, okay? You need more than that. So while you're doing all of these things, you need to start saving up as much money as you can. When you get to $10,000, it's time for you to start making some offers. Well, some offers on what? Well, I'm glad you asked. While you're learning to make bread, while you're going to all the trainings and looking at YouTubes, and while you're raising your chickens or your rabbits and growing your herbs or whatever, you are driving around, you are looking for opportunities. This is called driving for dollars in the real estate space. You're looking for houses or mobile homes that look like they have seen better days, because those properties nobody else is checking for, okay? And somebody owns them, and that somebody doesn't live there, and that property is not making them any money, right? So that means there's an opportunity. Again, don't be tempted to get a raw piece of land that it doesn't look like anything has been there. You're looking for a mailbox and an empty lot. You're looking for a house that has grass as high as the roof, trees growing inside of it. You're looking for a mobile home that was built in the 1950s, okay? You're looking for something that indicates that there is infrastructure on that piece of land. Water, electric, or sewer, okay? And possibly even a well. So every weekend you're doing your thing, you've learned how to make bread, you're taking care of your chickens, but you're also driving around and you've got this long list developing of properties that you've driven by and that meet all of these criteria, right? So you are checking these addresses in the property tax record for that particular county. Search through the real estate playlist. I did a video on how to do this, right? So then you are sending them an email, not an email, a yellow letter. And I did a video about that. Go to the real estate playlist for that. You are getting a piece of yellow paper from a legal pad. Hi, my name is Monica. I want to buy your property. Here's my number. Call me, right? So you have to do this a lot. This is not something you can do once or twice. Throughout your journey, as you're going through your life, you're turning corners, you're looking for properties on a regular basis for the rest of your life until you find one. You're saving money, you're driving, you're living your life, and you're sending letters out all the time. And then somebody's going to respond one day, okay? And they're going to say, I got your letter. What would you be willing to pay for my property? You got $10,000, $12,000 in your savings account, and you say, oh, I'm so glad you called. I'd love to give you my price. Tell me more about the property. I wasn't able to walk it when I drove by it the other day. Does it have water? I noticed there was an old house. Just start asking questions about the property, logical questions that one would need to know the answers to before giving your number. Then shut up. Silence. Okay? Let them talk. Don't be nervous talking, asking 1,000 questions. Ask several questions, then shut up. Once you get done shutting up and listening, active listening, you're taking maybe a couple of notes, grab a piece of paper that's nearby, make some notes on what you are hearing, okay? Because you really don't care. You know there's something on the property because there used to be a house, right? You just don't want to rush into giving them your number. Now, here's the psychology of real estate. This is what they don't teach you in real estate school. This is what you only learn from years in the game, okay? After they get done talking, you say, because they're going to want to know what your number is. You're not getting off the phone. You're not about to go do an analysis on the property. You're going to say, well, I'm going to give you whatever you're asking for because I've been looking for a while and I can't find anything. So whatever number you've got is what number I'm going to go with. Y'all, I'm giving y'all so much game. I absolutely love this. Clearly, if they ask for $1 million and the property's worth $200,000, then clearly you will find that out and walk that back. But at the beginning, it's all about the psychology of the negotiations. So now you've lowered the defenses of the seller. They say, well, you know what? I want $255,000 for that property. That property's been in my family for 50,000 years, and that's what I want, and I'm not taking a penny less. Okay, that's fine. Where can we meet so we can drop the paperwork? Because we don't negotiate price. When we find an off-market property that nobody is competing with us against, we do not negotiate price. Will we pay $10,000 or $20,000 more for the property? Possibly, but we'll get it back, right? We'll get it back in appreciation. We're not worried about all that. This is not the traditional way you buy real estate, and this is how you come up, okay? Ask me how I know. I paid $365,000 for a house at 7% interest 5 years ago, and it's worth $700,000 now, and everybody is getting 7% interest rates now when I paid 7 and everybody else was getting 3. Am I mad? Hell no. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cuss, but y'all get my point, okay? So you got your $10,000, you got the paperwork, you went somewhere and got a contract from a title company, and you are going to go meet with them. It's all drawn up, $255,000, and y'all are going to do owner financing. You're going to give them a down payment, okay? How much of that $10,000 you give is up to you, right? Maybe you've got even more and can give a solid 10. Money talks, BS walks. Don't think you're always going to get something on a handshake or for $1 down, and don't believe all that crap. Get the property, okay? And if you got to give them all the $10,000, get all the $10,000, right? And then make the payments based on what you can afford to pay every month, because you still got to dump more money in the property to get it where you need it to go. But trust me, it's going to be worth every single minute. Okay, as you can see, I get a little passionate when it comes to this whole owner financing, buying real estate. And the reason is because the system is getting set up to where it's getting ready to be really hard for the regular person just to own a piece of real estate, okay? And I'm very passionate about that not being the case, right? So I'm using these creative methods in order to be able to circumvent the system, right? So if you want to know more about how to do that, drop me a comment below and let me know, just to give me an idea of how many of you guys there are out there so I can put something together. All right, I'll talk to you later. Peace.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
So one thing I love is when people have this image that you cannot homestead unless you live in the country or have a bunch of acres, right? And I even had that image at one point, but let me tell you, I live on 0.33 of an acre. I have a nice ravine in the backyard in a park, whatever, so it's a little more wooded, secluded, but I have chickens. I have a huge garden in the spring. We're not even there yet, but we're about to. I have a huge garden in the spring, raised beds. I'm going to start vining up my fence. I literally have chickens. I'll show you them in a second. You can still homestead and be self-efficient and not live in the country. I live in a development. I'm on a cul-de-sac. Like, I like having both. I love having sidewalks. We ride our bikes. Like, I don't want to be in the country just yet. Like, it would be very inconvenient to this season of my life. So if anyone tells you you cannot homestead because you don't live on an acre in the country or live on several acres in the country, simply untrue, and I'm the perfect example.
Guys, homesteading is not easy. It is actually hard work. If you have animals and are growing your own food, it's not easy. You know what I'm saying? But I think that it is more than worth it, honestly. It's worth it. Own your own stuff, make your own stuff, and live a much more healthier lifestyle than you're doing now. If you can do it, props to you, honestly. I might have my own homestead. Maybe when I'm like older, maybe like 40 years old or something like that, you know? But as for now, probably not, honestly.
Self-sustainability. You don't have to have 10, 15, 20 acres to be self-sustaining. We are probably, if I were to buckle down, 80, 85% self-sustaining here, and we live on an acre and a quarter. We do have beef cows that we do lease pasture for, so that does help. I'm gonna show you what we have here at our house that helps us be more self-sufficient. So this right here is our goat pen that we built. It's got this and then their shed. We have 2 milk goats in here. That is Mary, that is Whisper, and we have 2 wethers in there as well that we could raise for meat. They're very vocal. They are the goodest girls though. So we get all of our milk from them. Now, the raw milk, pasteurized milk thing, that is a whole debate. I personally pasteurize our milk. It's just where I'm at. Some people don't, and I'm not against that. If you want to drink raw milk, that's perfectly fine. I personally just pasteurize ours because it makes me feel better. Now we'll go to the other side of our property where we have a lot of other stuff. As I said before, you don't need a ton of room. The more room you have, obviously the more you can do, but you don't have to have a 15-acre lot to somewhat be self-sustaining. So now on the south side of our property is my garden, greenhouse, chickens, and orchard. So this is my garden. That's our cherry tree, and I have 16 6-foot by 3-foot boxes in here. In total, this is about 100 foot by 40 feet long. We have our greenhouse that helps extend our season. We start early, and I can move stuff in there. Right there, we've got a citrus tree and stuff that we move in there in the winter. This is our main chicken coop. It is a 10 by 8 shed. We also have, so these are our bunnies that we use them for fertilizer. You could eat them if you want to. This is our main chicken run. It is 32 foot by 40 feet. We have a lot of all of our laying hens in here. We have a couple of roosters right now, and we've got turkeys. That right there is a grow out pen. So I also raise, getting into the purebred world. So that's how we earn money with our chickens besides the eggs, is hatching and selling hatching eggs. That'll start next season once our grow outs completely grow out. This right here is our orchard. We've got apricot trees, a nectarine tree, 2 apple trees. This is another chicken coop that is going up with a chicken run. That'll be one of my purebred pens once it is ready. And then one of the final pieces we have, you'll see right there, is a beehive for pollinator reasons, honey, beeswax, etc., etc. So this is all just on 1 1/4 acre. We're actually probably only using 1/4 of an acre total. So we still have a lot of space that we can expand on, but it's a hot topic right now. People are trying to get back to their roots, trying to get back to homesteading, and I just want to come on here and say that you don't have to live on 5-10 acres. We do pretty well with what we have. We do lease pasture. Also, we have a lot of friends in this community, so I barter a lot. So I traded chicken feed for goats, and then my most recent one is a half a beef for 2 pigs. So we'll get pork, they'll get beef, straight across trade. It doesn't cost either of us anything. The barter system is still very much alive, and getting into those circles of people who have the same interests and the same goals as you is one way to help reduce your costs overall.
I am starting my homestead entirely from scratch with no experience whatsoever, and my main goal is to be able to grow or make as much of my own food on my own property as possible, and then only go to the grocery store for supplemental things. That's going to be in the future though, because like I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I am trying to start my seeds right now. I am not a good gardener. I've never been good at keeping plants alive, but we're going to learn, we're going to grow, and hopefully we'll be better every year. And then I'm also going to be getting chickens and mini goats, which is going to be its whole own process. But if you've ever been interested in what all goes into starting a homestead from absolutely nothing and how much it costs to start a garden or start chickens or start goats or whatever it may be, I'm your girl. I see accounts on here all the time of already established homesteads, and I love it. I'm so interested in it. But the starting from the beginning process is crazy. So we will see how this goes. I'm very excited. I got a ton of plants to start with. I'm doing an entirely organic seed garden because I have a baby bunny upstairs, and I want to be able to give her salads entirely from my own property. Please excuse my dog running around. So I got a bunch of herbs, I got peppers, I got jalapenos, and then I also got garlic, onions, and potatoes to start in bags, and I got some pre-established plants like an orange tree, a blueberry bush, a strawberry plant, so we're gonna see how it goes. I also have 5 dogs, 3 snakes, and a bunny, so my house is a zoo. If you'd like to follow along, I'd really appreciate it. I hope you're having a good day.
I want to remind any beginning homesteaders out there about thinking ahead before you make stupid choices, because 8 years ago we did not think ahead. And we made kind of a stupid choice that I'm going to show you in just a minute. We're still paying for it because the cost of moving it would just be a lot. So I'd like you to know that the snow is so hard that my feet don't go through it. It's just a sheet of ice. And let's take a moment to look where we put the chicken coop. At some point in a lovely summer day, 8 years ago, we decided putting a chicken coop at the bottom of this super steep hill was a wonderful idea. Partially because I think our thinking was the old barn was there. There's a water spigot there. So this is a great place. Let me tell you, it is not a great place. All spring, all winter, we slip and slide all the way down the hill to take care of the chickens. So make sure you think ahead, because you'll definitely thank yourself later.
Did you know that most homesteaders on TikTok are just middle-class people role-playing poor people? Yeah, a girl on TikTok had the nerve to say something like that, but let's break down a couple of facts because I can't get into all of it in this short of time. First of all, middle class is the new poor. Most of us have student loan debt so heavy that we can't even get loans for property. And guess what? We had to take out those student loans to get this middle class salary that you brag about. My student loan repayment is in the 4 digits per month, and I can't get a loan for a house because my debt is so high. Also, because of inflation and supply chain issues, grocery stores hardly have any food. We are poor. We can't buy food at the grocery store. We have to make sure that we have food in our gardens, in our chicken houses, because that's what homesteading is about. We are learning how to make things from scratch so that it is cheaper. We are learning to grow things in our yard and maintain livestock so that we can ensure that our family will have food, because time and time again, our government has let us down. They aren't providing enough food. They are intentionally raising prices of food and making it harder and harder for the middle class people to survive. They want us to own nothing and be happy about it. We aren't homesteading because we want to pretend to be poor. We are homesteading so that we can make sure that we have a future.
What's your homesteading fail? I'm gonna go first so we can be accountable. I didn't taste these when I canned them. What are these? Zucchini pickles. They're delicious. I make them for the market. I sell out every time I bring them. I got too big for my britches, canned up 2 gallons of these. They're bitter. They taste awful. I'm gonna have to pop the lids, dump every one of them out, and feed them to the chickens because they are not good for human consumption. So that's what I get for trying to be quick with my process and not taste testing every recipe. I know better. I know better. I know that zucchinis can get bitter when it's hot. I've never had it happen to me. I didn't think anything about it. And here we are. I have to throw out 2 days worth of work because I didn't check.
I'm a broke millennial who wishes I could homestead, but I can't. So this is what I do to make myself feel like I'm homesteading. Because as it turns out, homestead is more of a lifestyle than it is a type of house. So if you think you're too broke to homestead, buckle up, because here's a few things that you can do. First of all, compost. No, you don't need a gigantic 5x5 foot pile outside in the backyard. If you have a patio, you can just use a little bin. I use a little tote. Drill some holes in it. There we go. I keep a little jar from like animal crackers in my kitchen. That's where I put my stuff, and then I go and I put it out in the bin. Boom. 2, little tiny garden. Again, I don't want to hear nothing about not having a yard. Do you have windows? Do you have a windowsill? Then you can have a garden. If you do not have those things, then you can also get little lights. I would show you mine, but I'm outside. You can grow things like that. I am growing tomatoes in my windowsill right now, as well as garlic, and I grew some garbanzo beans earlier. And also, if you have a little bit of space, quail. You could do quail. Quail were originally used as songbirds. They're small. They don't need a lot of space, and they lay eggs, and also you can eat the birds themselves. I don't know what that thing was I just did with my hand. I love you, bye.
If you're trying to pursue self-sufficiency, the first thing you need to understand is no one's coming to save you. No one's magically going to show up and just feed your chickens for you, feed your sourdough starter, plant all the seeds that you need. You got to do it yourself. But Brian, if I want eggs, I'm just going to go to the store and get them. Really? Are you? How's that going for you? But Brian, I've got kids and a full-time job, and I just have no time on my hands to be able to do any of this stuff. Well, it's not about finding time, okay? You're not going to find another moment in the day. It's about making time. Because in reality, if you have time to doom scroll and comment on all my videos telling me how unrealistic I am, you have time to feed your sourdough starter. Plus, I don't know if you've seen the news, but the government doesn't seem to be spending their money wisely at all, and they're allowing poison to be put into our foods. You see, rather than be the people that just simply identify a problem but have no solution, we want to try to actually find a solution. And so we're going to try to take matters into our own hands a little bit. The 2 first steps you need to take is starting a garden and getting chickens. But like we always say, it's about baby steps. Just do what you can with what you have, but just understand that no one's coming to save you. If you want to be more self-sufficient, it starts with you. Let's cut it out with the excuses. Let's go ahead and get these raised beds put in. And chick season starts in like 2 weeks of Tractor Supply, so make sure you're following us for more homesteading tips and get started.
When you live on a farm, most animals have some type of purpose, and unfortunately, sometimes their purpose is to be processed and feed our family. This part is not easy at all, but today we are processing our pigs, 4 of them, but we are taking them to a processor for them to process. These are Kuni pigs, and we've had them for about 1.5 years. So we're keeping this one and this one, a male and a female. Thank you for everything. Bye. Nope, nothing about saying goodbye is easy at all. But I like to think that our animals had one bad day, and that's today. They've had nothing but fresh grass, great food, love, shelter, and they've served their purpose. And for us, this is why we got into farming, is to provide our family with the highest quality meat and food. And so that's the hard part.
I'm going to show you my ADHD, messy, realistic, non-aesthetic homestead so you can feel better about yours. Made a couple of these videos before, but here we go again, because you know what? I never have my shit together. And some homesteads are gorgeous and they're aesthetic and it looks like a Pinterest picture, but most of the time it's not like that. Here's the box that I got to keep my porch organized so all the kids could put their shoes in here. It's supposed to be black. They put mud on it and now I have to drag it off my porch, empty it, and spray it off. And they don't even put their shoes in it anyway. Look, they're on the porch and they don't even wear shoes. So why are they? I don't know. There's no skirting underneath my house. That's a shed. Because the animals like to go underneath it for shade and my dog lays under there, so I feel bad like fencing it off. But right under these gorgeous steps, my mother put this piece of wood here because whenever it rains, it's like mud central right here. And so she thought that that looked good. So that's nice. Oh, what's this? A duck pool that I drained and I still have yet to fill back up because I got to spray all the doo-doo out of it and I don't want to do that. So maybe I'll do that later today. Oh my gosh, what's this? Oh, don't you just love buying cups for your kids because they take such good care of them? Put it right there. And I'm probably going to forget about it and it's going to go back on the floor. Oh, what's this? Oh, I'm glad you asked. It's a run I bought that I have yet to finish putting together. So that's fun. Are you even a homestead if you don't have like 20 projects that are half completed? Oh, there's a cattle panel just laying there. I love that. Just aesthetic things. Oh, I forgot about that. Here's one of these grass nesting box pads that I pulled out because I needed to be sprayed off, and I guess I forgot about it. So I'm gonna have to clean that off even more now. That's good. Past me, always looking out for future me. Oh, look. Speaking of how my kids never wear shoes, but they're somehow everywhere at the same time. Some ballerina slippers on the nesting box. Oh, there's one thing of shaving. There's two things of shavings because I bring them out here to, you know, do the coops. And then I'm like, oh, well, there's a little bit left. I'll just keep it right here. And then I forget that I did that and I go open another one. So there's just a bunch of open half-used shavings and then they get rained on. So nobody has their life together, okay? It's social media. They're only showing you what they want you to see. And almost all of us that are actually homesteading, it's not aesthetic. It's just functional, and that's all we care about. I mean, we want it to be aesthetic, but let's get real. Especially us ADHD ladies, it's just a never-ending battle. You're doing great.
Home economics used to be taught in school, and you know why it's not anymore? Because they don't want you at home. They want you at your 9 to 5 making them money. They don't want women staying at home and raising their children anymore because they want to raise your children. And they don't want you to know self-sufficiency skills anymore because they want you reliant on them. That's why nobody knows how to make food from scratch anymore because it all just comes in a can and a box at the grocery store. Oh, and they're poisoning you with it. And then they just distract you with entertainment so you don't think about it. The biggest middle finger that you can give the man is to buy some land, buy some animals, grow your own food, learn how to can and preserve it.
If you want to be a homesteader, you need to understand one thing. Everything is going to try and end you. When I say everything is going to try and end you, I mean your pigs are going to create holes and you're going to trip and fall. And then your chickens are going to peck your brains out. And then you're probably going to be half unalived anyway because of the staph infection you have from the wound you got when you were building something or fixing something. And you were like, I got to finish this project so I'll take care of it later. And then you never did because you forgot because you got busy. Maybe that's just me. I mean, I had this whole conversation with my friend this morning and I'm just telling the future, my future, because I'm sure that's exactly how it's going to happen. My pigs are in fact creating ditches for me to trip in. My chickens are trip hazards. I'm pretty sure they would stop at nothing to peck my brains out. And if all of that fails, my ducks are going to create the biggest shit slide, and I'm going to slip on it and fall backwards, crack my head on something that the turkey put there or something. Probably like the hose end or something. Maybe I'll even leave the hose on and end up having sprinkles of water fall on my face, and I will no longer be able to breathe because my mouth will be full of water, all because the ducks made a shit slide. I'm starting to wonder if maybe this is the life for me. You gotta be smarter, you gotta be faster than all the animals. Yeah, this is it for me.
Good morning, everyone. I wanted to take a minute to share something with you all, and I'm actually going to be posting this across all of our social media because I feel like it's important for everyone to know. So one of the things, if y'all follow us any length of time, you'll find that I am very much about being authentic and being real about this homesteading life. I think a lot of people have a romanticized vision of what this is going to look like, and they underestimate just how much work's involved and the different things and the challenges that come up. And today we faced a loss that is really hitting me hard, and I just wanted to take a minute to be real about it because we have shared some things on here, and y'all have seen the blessing, and we saw it robbed today, and so I just wanted to share with you what happened. So we came out this morning, and we found Lord Shen, our beloved all-white peacock, dead on the ground. It appears that he fell out of the tree, which is very unusual because they can fly. They roost way up high in the tree. In fact, I don't know if you can see, but like in the top of that tree right there is where he would roost at night with his peahens, and they would stand guard and watch, and they would alert, in the night if there was a predator or anything like that. And so we're not entirely sure what happened. I suspect that what maybe happened is that we know there is a great horned owl that has been around making his presence known. And I'm wondering if maybe he tried to get one of the chickens or even Lord Shen, because I'm sure the white showed up in the night a lot more than the colored hens that blend in. And I'm wondering if the great horned owl tried to get him and knocked him off and caught him off guard. And if that's what happened, he did not have any apparent damage. There was no wounds to him. His neck wasn't broken. His legs were okay. But he had been there for a few hours by the time we found him. It happened sometime in the night. And I didn't want to mess with doing a necropsy or anything like that, because where we found him, we're pretty sure he just fell. It was just one of those things that we did not expect today. We had plans for him. He was only 2 years old. He had just started coming into maturity. I did manage to save some of his feathers that I'm going to try to do something with in my art, because that was one of the reasons that we had him. And he had such beautiful feathers, but he hadn't gotten the eyes yet on it. And he was just so very young, and this was not expected. And so I just wanted to share with y'all that he is no more. We are going to be trying to replace him with another white peacock, I hope. At least another peacock, but I definitely would prefer a white one, just because we had planned to breed him with our peahens for the genetics. And I'm sorry, my hens are laying behind me, and my guinea fowl is losing her mind. So anyway, but yeah, I just wanted to share with you guys, because it was a little bit of a devastating loss this morning. It hit me about as hard as when we lost Apollo last year, our breeding buck. And that's what I was going to tell you. As a homesteader, you know, if you have livestock, you're going to have dead stock at some point. It's part of it. And they're unbelievably unpredictable when things are going to happen. And it will catch you off guard, and it will knock you off balance. But I also know that there's a resiliency in keeping going, and God does restore. And we're believing for that. But we don't also discard the loss and allowing ourselves to grieve. Even though it's an animal, it still hurts. And the time that we put into, we had hatched him out from an incubator. So we've had him for 2 years, and we've invested a lot of time into, one, making sure that he knew this was home, because peacocks need that. They will fly away at just a few weeks if you don't home them in, basically. And we have put a lot of, time and effort into, making sure they knew that this was their home. And I know that the peahens are going to be missing him, and they've been very quiet today. And so it's just kind of one of those things where we're just experiencing it. So we will see the recovery and the redemption, but I just want to share with y'all and be real that this is definitely part of the homesteading life, and you have to be prepared for that. If you're going to raise animals, you have to be prepared for those moments when they happen, because they do. But it's still worth it. It's still worth it. Every bit of it's still worth it. But be encouraged in that, and just know that when we have a new one, we will keep you updated, and we will post lots of pictures and videos as we get the new peacock to replace him. Anyway, y'all have a good day.
Peace, baby. So, found a little orphan, thinking we're gonna adopt her to the homestead. We have 2 bunnies that we've recently added, and just so we can collect their manure for our soil. So looks like our little, what do they call it? A bunny? What do they call it? A colony? No, a bunny colony. We have our little bunny colony. Okay. Peace, baby.
150 years ago, you didn't have to ask permission from the government to go fishing, own a property, build on your property, renovate your home, use a transportation vehicle, start a business, get married, own a weapon, hunt, cut hair, sell a product, protest, grow your own food, sell that food that you grew on your own property, or even just set up a lemonade stand. And now you virtually can't do anything without asking for the government's permission first. So if you still think you're free, you're deluding yourself.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.